I am actually walking the ground right now, signing up a lot of membership forms and making sure that the people know that the ILP is part of their family.
With your support, the neglect can come to an end, while an era of performance becomes the new order.
We had experience, we had youth, we had competence, we had enthusiasm, and this we have to do.
My name is Lawrance LaLa. I'm the former councillor for the District of Valencia, and I sat in the capacity as the Vice Chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation.
Okay, you've been part of the regional corporation for the past term, and I think you've been around all the other councillors, be it from the PNM side, from the UNC side, and the partnership side, more or less. What are some of the insights probably can give us that caused your shift from being part of one of the other parties and joining the ILP?
The promise that we made to the people of this region was that the People's Partnership would deliver. And whatever the reasons are why we could not deliver is irrelevant to the expectations that the people had and the promise that we made. And as such, the ILP presented a new fragrance in the people's mind as to what they are expecting and the vacuum that was created by the poor governance of the People's Partnership and the historical poor governance of the PNM. And as such, we were forced with good judgment to adhere to the ILP because the constituents that we are serving, they also indicated that to us, and their behavior showed that there was clearly a room for a new style of governance in the country.
As one of the ILP's taglines, you say a new era and new dawn of politics, right? What are your thoughts on using councillors that we had serving before in the regional corporation and reintegrating them into this new style of politics or this new style of leadership, as in the screen here today?
Well, as everything has been acknowledged, experience and newness is always a good combination. And as such, and I say this without reservation, the councillors, some of them had good intentions, but because of the system that was not fixed as promised by the previous government, they were not, and I correct myself, we were not as effective as we should. So if there is a zeal and the persons who we serve, they are offended sufficiently, I am certain with the green virus and the influence of Mr. Warner's leadership that the environment for delivery could definitely be a new one, whereby the councillors who were not as effective in the past term could definitely inculcate themselves with the new councillors and have an effective council for representation and good policy guidelines.
As being the deputy in the regional corporation for the last term, and working with all the various councillors, what would you say is one of the biggest problems or the biggest drawbacks in having some of those deliverables that you would expect as constituents in this community? What are some of the shortcomings as relates to being in the corporation under the partnership administration?
There is one big secret that has been kept in this country, and I wonder why it has been kept so long. There's a tendency to believe that the councillor is an implementer. In reality, he's not. The implementation is done by a CEO-led administration, and we all know in this country that the public servants are still a liability to the system. As such, it has been rumored and well accepted that the council, the people's representatives, they must maintain a very good relation with the administration. That has in the past created a cradle of corruption, which we all know we have condemned the PNM for allowing that. But the system has to change with regards to the CEO's accountability also, not being to the council and by extension not to the people, but to statutory authorities commission, whereby the council and the people's representatives, they are ineffective with regards to how the CEO is managed and how he's actually handled. I think, in my humble opinion, that he should be on a contractual arrangement to the council so that we can hire and eventually fire him.
in the capacity of being in the regional corporation, you've been the vice president for the past term. What are some of the major things that we were expected as constituents to be delivered? Well, from your ears on the ground, what were some of the things that you think that the people wanted that they was not being afforded to them?
Well, this region is actually a quarter of the country, the Toko Sangrande and the Komoto Mantalana region, and we cannot fix this region. We cannot manage this region with $69 million, where 70% is absorbed in recurrent expenditure. The basic infrastructural needs of the persons we serve have not been realized. One of my major concerns, and I have always said it before, is there must be, a lot of discussion takes place around poverty alleviation. In this region, and the surveys have already concluded, we are the poorest region of the country. But we are resourcefully rich, and the standard of living here does not reflect the resources that are available to us and are sold out of the region with little or no return to us. So I think that one of the main considerations that we have failed to do is to provide a platform for economic development here. And as such, there are hardly any industries. The platform for development is discussed and there's no realization around it. So as such, one of my main concerns is to take this region out of its poor state that it's in.
Having such a large number of persons coming to take screening today in the Independent Liberal Party for the Toko Sandigra and the Komoto Manzalina constituency, we see a lot of young persons between the ages of 18, 19, even up to 24 and 25. So what plans do we have with you having so much experience in the regional corporation on the councillor level and even at the top administrative level? How do you plan to help to guide these younger councillors and to get in with, I would say, to get in with the ILP program?
Well, my primary reason for not filing a nomination for the upcoming election is based on exactly the answer to your question, in that I do not think that I can be more effective in the council than out of the council, because I think it's one of the situations where the problem has to be handled from the outside in versus the inside out. So with my new councillors in there, and I say green for exactly what it's worth, they are green in color and they're also green by experience. I think we definitely, in collaboration with the advisory committee that Mr. Warner has in mind to put in place, there would also be need for persons who have had experiences relative to how local government should be, why it is functioning at this level today, and how the need to get the people to be offended by the offensive of the lack of delivery to stand and make the point that this has to change with a degree of urgency.